Hello, welcome back to Intelligent Design. I'm your host, Dan Felder, and we are going to be joined today by Reuben Covington to play Star Realms. Reuben Covington's a really good friend of mine. He's a really fun designer, and I've worked with him on stuff before. We also do the Remaking Magic podcast together, which is all about game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. Check it out. And today we are talking about another card game, one of the best examples of the deck building genre in the world. I honestly think it is just the best. I haven't played literally every one so far. I have not, so I can't say that for sure. But in my experience, it is absolutely far and away the superstar. Reuben, have you played Star Realms before?
Not as much as I'd like to, so I'm coming into this with a bit more of a fresh perspective, but I have played other deck building games like Dominion, etc. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if this is as good as you say it is, and hearing about the
I really
design.
feel like it is. I'm a huge fan of the elegance of the game. You can just throw it down, immediately start playing it with anybody. I have actually just played it with people I was sitting next to on airplanes before. It's that easy, and it's really, really cool. The deck building genre is all about a sense of progression, that you start with a deck of cards full of really bad cards. Then you play them, and through the process of the game, usually based on the cards you play, you're able to buy better cards from like a collection in the center. Then you shuffle those into your deck, and you want to keep playing. Now, you want to play cards because it let you buy cards, and then when you buy the cards, you want to play them. So there's constantly a satisfaction loop of your deck's always getting better, and you enjoy playing the cards, which lets you get more cards, and it's very fun. Unfortunately, it's often kind of a little uninteractive, a little thorny. It has some problems. Like Ascension was a game I really, really wanted to love, and it just did not work for me. Then I heard that one of the guys on it had the Star Realms was sort of the spiritual successor to it, and I played it very sort of reluctantly, and I became insanely addicted. This game went viral when I was at FFG. Everyone was buying it. So I dug into it. I immediately got it on the computer as well. I made you get it, and we just had a lot of fun. So this is going to be like, what, your third time ever playing?
Yeah, yep. So I only played a couple of times, so this will be good.
Okay,
Let's
jump
get
in.
into a game versus AI, and
Yep.
now I know you normally play hard, but we're just gonna go medium for today.
Hardcore, yeah. All right, let's go medium.
Okay, so you want to start us off? We've got
Sure. So the deck building genre in this game is very clearly about you always start with the same number of cards in your deck. So you start with, I believe, 8 producing ships, and you start with 2 Vipers, which are the attack ships. Now the way you win the game is by reducing your opponent to 0 life. It's a very unique concept, and so. With that, I think it's actually called like loyalty or something, or
Yeah.
influence. I don't remember. The point is, it's that life total over there, that green arrow. That's 50 life. You have 50 life. Now, the first player only draws 3 cards. The second player and every other turn thereafter will draw 5. This is because getting the first attack in, or the first purchase in, gives you a big advantage. So they give you a card disadvantage. Now, you've got 8 of these gold ships, scouts, and you've also got the 2 of the Vipers. So if you just played the cards in your deck already, you would be able to be basically gaining an average of, if everything was breaking down perfectly, 4 gold a turn and dealing 1 damage to your opponent.
yeah.
That'll take a long time. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy ships that have that red symbol, which says attack. So whenever you play one of those cards in the middle that has a red symbol, that's how much damage you're going to be doing. And whenever you play a card that has a gold value, that's how much gold you'll be getting. So first, if you don't play any of the cards in your hand, they're gone at the end of the turn. So you almost always want to play all of them. So start by playing out all your scout ships.
We getting some trade. Oh, okay. Now let's buy some guys. Now note we've
Right.
got different borders here, so I'm assuming so these are different factions. I'm assuming.
Yes. Now, this is one of the key elements of deck building games that most games get wrong and that Star Realms gets very right. Now, one of the problems is that a deck building game, you want to keep it interesting by making it so that in different situations you want different ships, you want different cards. Makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Unfortunately, the problem with a lot of games like Ascension is that a lot of good decks tend to resemble each other. Everybody wants the option to get rid of their bad cards, which is something that a lot of deck building games do. Everybody wants options to draw lots of extra cards because cards are power. And so the thing is, what this game does is it has a really, really clever alliance system, which is you see that those little extra symbols at the bottom of the cards, that shows like a gold symbol next to more attack values on the first two to the
Yep.
left. Um, and then there's a green one in the second one, in the next one, and then there's a blue one, and so on. Well, that says if you have played another ship this turn, or if you have a base out, as you can see, there's a card to the far right, which is like a base. Those stay in play until they're destroyed. If you have another thing with that loyalty symbol in play, so you've played another ship that turn because they all leave at the end of the turn, or you have another base out with that symbol, you get an additional bonus. So you can very reliably only draft 2 factions and have them all and always have at least one thing to make sure it triggers the other one in hand. So if you take that Corvette and you take the Imperial Fighter and you play both of them in the same turn, they're both going to get their bonus. So that means you're going to want more and more yellow cards in your deck in order to make their bonuses go up. Whereas the Blob Fighter, you want more and more green cards. So right now you could take both the yellow cards and get a bunch of synergy going on. However, if you do that, you're getting a bunch of aggressive cards. So that's a bunch of damage. Whereas in the early game, you normally want to get more economy.
So we're probably wanting to take the Explorer here, right? Or the Federation Shuttle.
Those are options. Like the Federation Shuttle is worth twice as much gold as the Scout Ship, and if you don't get the extra healing benefit off of its ability, it doesn't really matter. Whereas the Corvette's sort of free. It only deals 1 damage, but it also says draw a card. So it lets you cycle through your deck really quickly, whereas the Imperial Fighter deals damage and lets you discard them. So there's a lot of good options right here. You can take the Explorer, which is there's always an Explorer out, which is always just going to give you 2 gold, so it's always going to be a benefit.
Yep.
On the other hand, it also has that trash ability, which is one of the best things about this game. If you see a trash ability, when the card is played, you can trash it for an additional benefit. So the problem with a lot of these games is that your deck gets full of like all these sort of simple early cards that you don't really care about anymore, and you don't want them in your deck, and now it's actually diluting the power of your deck because it gets so strong in the late game. And the Explorer says, when you're sick of me, you can get rid of me, which also is great because usually they're giving you a long-term advantage by having these cards in your deck because you paid for them. So what's nice is you get this extra gameplay option of when to trash it, when to get rid of the card, and when you trash it, it's not discarded. It's gone forever from your deck. Forever.
Yeah.
So
it's not getting... Because, the deck builders, they cycle back into your deck, and your deck constantly gets refilled with anything that you play, unless you get it as trash. And that's really like the core mechanic there, right? And this kind of jumps out of that and says, no, I'm not getting it back into your deck.
Which is something that's core to a lot of deck builders, because you want to get better cards in your deck, and then once your average card is better than keeps getting better and better of your average cards, you want to get rid of all the weaker cards.
Yep.
So we would like to have no scouts in our deck and just have like explorers. But after a while, if we get even better than explorers, we want to get rid of those too. So the explorer says, there's no downside to me. You might not want this in your deck. That's fine. When you don't want me anymore, get rid of me and you'll deal extra damage. It's awesome. So it also, if the game has gone on for a long time with a lot of explorers, you can just get rid of 6 in the same turn, and then it's like, it's awesome. So I would recommend taking the Corvette and the Imperial Fighter here because the synergy is really good. It lets you spend all your gold all at once.
Yep.
And the other option would be to take the Federation Shuttle and
the Explorer
and an Explorer. So that way you would get a lot of money.
Yes.
So the question is, do you want money, Federation Shuttle, and Explorer? And you also, if you take the Federation Shuttle, it'll immediately get replaced with another card, so you can see what happens next. Or do you go double yellow with the synergy, in which case you take the Imperial Fighter first and see what happens.
Oh, we'll take the double yellow, I guess.
Okay, cool. So we're going very aggressive right now.
Yeah, so trade bot probably isn't something we want, so probably going for the Corvette here.
All right, there we go. So that's going to give us a constant amount of damage and disruption throughout this entire game, because the Corvette actually draws you an additional card when you play it, so there's no downside to having it in your deck. The only downside is not buying another better card. So the Imperial Fighter also means that it's more likely that because of the Corvette that you're going to get more things to proc your yellow cards with, and the Imperial Fighter also disrupts them. So it's going to not hurt them too much in the early to mid game, but it might really mess with them later. And of course, the more times you're making them discard cards, the better it is to get it early. So that's like invisible economy.
So let's end our turn here and give it back to our opponent.
Excellent.
And we've drawn these fighters.
Yes, indeed.
So this is just one attack, unaligned. And they start in your... Oop, we're getting attacked here. by their little vipers.
Yeah, you draw cards at the end of your turn, so you get time to think about what to do, and boop, their vipers are pinging away at us. So already there's impact.
Yeah, I really like
a lot of
that you draw immediately and gives you that extra time. It allows the game to flow really quickly between turns.
Yeah. And also, like, there's immediately impact, which is nice, right? Like, you're taking damage every turn, for the most part. Whereas a lot of games aren't. Like, actually, what's interesting is that immediately people tend to overvalue cards that get rid of other cards from your deck in this game, because usually that's the best thing in a collectible card game. I'm not in a collectible card game, in a deck-building game.
Deck-building game, yep.
But the games are over so fast that there actually is room to play aggro. You actually can just go aggressive and kill them just that quickly.
Yep.
And very much because I'm taking cards that you might want, you're taking cards that I might want, we naturally go into different strategies, because if you're taking a lot of green, I'm probably not taking much green.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yeah, that's why you want those faction mechanics. Really helps
Yes,
out.
Otherwise we're just all taking exactly what we each other want, and it sucks. Whereas the Federation shuttles are so awesome, because you can basically say, oh, I'm taking tons of damage, I'm going to tech into getting a bit more life. I'm going to go get a bit more life. I'm going to get a bit more defense. And so often, for example, I play against people who take very simple attacks, very simple like aggressive strategies, and they're just crushing, or they get tons and tons of money, and I just transition to aggro and kill them. And they're just like, that's what did you do? You were buying all the money. It's like, not anymore.
Okay, so,
right, so
just play out all our things and
absolutely. If you don't play it, it goes away at the end of the turn, so you might as well play it.
Now, we want to... No cards here are yellow. Oh, no.
Yeah, well, they weren't going to, because you have to draw through the rest of your deck before you get to reshuffle.
Yeah. So...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No. None of the cards in the shop are yellow. Yeah,
right. So what you can do here is either... we can basically... We're not going to only get to buy yellow cards. There's 4 factions.
Yep.
So we start looking for a secondary faction here. The blob fighters are nice because we'll deal tons of damage if we go for that game plan. Mm-hmm. And we can really try to rush them down. And also they have green synergies to draw cards. So they would actually help us if we get our green synergies to draw through, and the yellow one has synergies to draw through, so we can just draw our whole deck really efficiently. Alternatively, we could get up that the battle station, which if we play it, we'll always have access to a red trigger. And also, we could trash it to deal 5 damage at any time. And also with that, you can see that it has that 5 life threshold.
Yes.
That means that it absorbs the first 5 damage of every turn. And if it's broken, then it's put into your discard pile, and you get to draw it again.
Yep.
So if we play that out now, basically get to ignore all his early damage until he manages to deal 5 or more damage in one turn. That's really exciting. Or you can buy Double Explore. You can buy Double Explorer here with your 4, or even just 2 Blob Fighters and see what happens, and you can really ramp up the money. So you see there's so much strategy and depth going on here. Like the trading pool, for example, is really good too. It gives you the early defense of the blast station, but also gives you 1 gold or 1 life every single turn.
Yes. Ooh. That's pretty nice, but do we take that over the blast station?
Well, you have 4 gold, so I would take a blob fighter. I either would go double
blob fighter.
Like I would either go double explore here, or I would take a blob fighter and see what happens next, because everything else that we're looking at costs 3 gold. Looks like.
Okay, so let's take a blob fighter. We get a cutter, which is the Federation cards. So do we take another blob fighter?
Well, this is up to you now.
Yeah.
So, what do you think?
Yeah, we'll take it because we want the synergies right. Go the aggressive game plan. Though we're not. So now we have exactly the same right amount for an Explorer.
The cutter is almost strictly better than the Explorer. It's worth noting because you'll gain 4 life and 2 gold.
Yep.
You can't get rid of it later, but it's really good. And you might just say, you know what? We'll cut our losses. We won't take a blob fighter. We'll take the cutter instead. But yeah, it's tricky. I think I would rather take the cutter here than the Explorer, just because it's just so much better than the Explorer.
Yeah, the 4 life is pretty significant. Okay. And
yeah.
Oh.
All right, so 3 factions now, but some of them are cycling
through.
It's not
going through our... Do I need a... How do I spin the... Oh, right, just attack.
Yeah, you have to actually attack.
Yeah. No, I forgot. I'm a little rusty. Okay.
Now, fortunately, it makes you it asks you to attack each
Yes.
turn because you can sometimes target other things. So it wants to get you, and there's not in UI design. If you're ever going to ask the player to do something, you tend to want to always ask them to an extent because otherwise they get used to always deciding, and then it happens without them doing it one time, and they feel disoriented. Like annoyance is better than lack of comfort and disoriented. So that's important. Also, one thing about this game which is interesting is that things like the cutter are just good, and they're better, a little bit better, if you get the symbol. So often, for example, there's archetypes. People say, "Oh, that's green. I don't want green. I'm in red, and I'm in like blue and red." And it's like, no. That green card gives you a bunch of money.
Yes.
So, which is a great element of the actual component and card design, because otherwise. It both gives people a sense of direction, which is huge, but it also simultaneously means that cards are not dead for everybody. Like, we could take any card and it'll help us. It just won't help us as much.
Yeah, well, we've both been talking about recently a lot about linchpins and archetypes and that kind of thing, and you really need to make sure that you have both like cards that make you want to go that faction, but then cards that also just happen to be good that are in that faction, so that sometimes, you just take the good cards, right, and then you'd say, oh, look, I just happen to have taken a bunch of green cards. I want to pick up the things that reward me for green cards. And
you'll see that a lot of these ships, a lot of these synergies, are not saying for each one you play this turn. They're saying, like, if you've played one. So for the cutter, if we can just reliably get our deck to have at least one, let's say our deck decides to mostly care about yellow and red. Sorry, yellow and green. Having one cutter in there doesn't really mess with us because as long as we can still reliably get our triggers for our yellows and our greens, we don't need to care about the fact that the cutter is a different colored card. The scout chips are already not triggering. And also, it gives you more room to take a few missteps early on to not dedicate it immediately. And also, those cards let you get rid of cards later, which is great. There's brilliant flexibility here. Very clever design.
Yeah,
but right now, you can see how much the Viper is screwing with us right now.
Yeah. Let's deal one to them. Let's take a battle station.
Yeah. And if only we had, if that was just a scout, we would have 6 gold right now.
Yep.
And we could buy a really powerful card. But we don't.
Or something, yeah. Okay, so, we're going to take an explorer here. And in turn.
All right. We should probably check those cards briefly to, go through what they do.
Yeah, so...
like the junkyards and stuff.
This is copy another ship you play this turn. We've got...
That's really good.
Yeah, that's really good. Blob World. 5 damage.
Okay.
Or draw a card for each blob card that you've played this turn. Okay, yeah,
that's one of the very few build-arounds. That's all blob.
Okay, so... We can't quite play it yet, though, can we?
And I want to point out that it's good to have a few of those because it makes your deck look different than a game where you don't play it. Whereas it doesn't require you to... If that was how all of them worked, all of them were carrying as many as possible of one faction, that would limit your decks to 4. Stealth Needle, by the way, is the best card in the game, if you ask me. It's so
and we
good.
Don't have enough to buy it. It's so sad.
I know. See, the Vipers are messing with us.
Yeah.
The red cards help get rid of those things. And also, he's got a base out, so we're going to want to deal 4 damage.
We just destroyed their base, because we had 4 damage out.
Right, exactly. Thank you, Blanche.
So
I'm a little behind, by the way. I'm watching this on Twitch, so I'm a little behind.
So... Battle Station seems good, but Explorers just seem more flexible.
I think you might just... the thing is, you just need money now. He's got a defensive base, so you need to get enough money to get enough attack to go over the defensive base. You can't just bleed him out over the long game anymore. So I'd say Explorer, for sure.
Yep, taking that. But yeah, see, this is I haven't played this in probably 6 months, and I'm just picking it up. The decisions are reasonably easy, but there's a lot of depth in those decisions, and so it's really good to see that.
like it's very clear immediately like what each card does. Like not the bases because you have to read them and stuff, but like it's very clear. Oh, this card gains me life. I bet that's defensive. This card defends me. I bet that's defensive. This card attacks.
Okay, so we've got the double yellow cards. Excellent. We get the draw cards. And we get double blob fighter. Beautiful.
Excellent. So again, that also makes your thrill of drawing your deck feel different each time. The fact that the order of the cards you get matters a lot, and the draw is exciting, and so you can see all our combos are coming together now. And look how much damage we're about to deal.
No.
That really surprised
13.
me.
Boom.
It's like 2, 3, 13.
Beautiful.
All right. So basically, I'd take the Corvette here because it's more yellow, which is great. It cycles through our deck more, which is great, and it's more attack. All right, and then the Explorer. Very simple. So we're going very aggressive here. Boom!
And now we've drawn all the money. We've drawn double Explorer, triple Scout. So 7. Right. We could take... We don't have enough to take the Blob World. No.
Yeah, that would be so good. But hey, there's a new thing that was just played.
Central Office.
What's the...
Oh,
this card's cool.
You may put next chip you acquire this turn on top of your deck and draw a card. Or there's Machine Base, draw a card and scrap a card from your hand. Nice.
Yeah, the Machine Base is like nice for cycling through our deck. The Central Office allows us to get like both. It's 2 gold every turn. And also it allows you to, whenever you buy a card, you shuffle, you put the next thing for the turn on top of your deck. So basically, instead of waiting for like 6 turns for it to all cycle through again, more like 3 turns, then you just get to take the best thing and do it immediately. Central Office is so good in a blue deck, and it's really good in any deck.
But
Machine Base is cool.
Yeah, so are we taking Machine Base here over Central Office, or...
It's difficult, because I think that scrap a card actually is not discard it. I think it's actually the banish it, which is really good. I think I would take Machine Base here, or potentially the Trade Escort, just because the Trade Escort is just so much damage, and it's really good at winning a race because it gains you life, and it can actually draw you some cards. But I think that the Machine Base, or just all in on Explorers, or not more like all in on Central Offices, would be good.
Okay,
Machine Base cycles through our deck for aggression. Central Office just gives us a big economy boost to try to boost over them. Because again, we don't need to go as fast as possible to kill him. We just need to be killing him faster than he kills us. Either slightly outlasting him in money, or if one of the ways he's going to win is if he gets money and powers out the big stuff faster than we can punch through. So we need to make sure our economy is just a little bit slower than his.
Yep. So we'll take Central Office then.
Both good options, really.
I'll take the Machine Base. I don't know, I like the card more.
I think I actually like the Machine Base better here. Normally, Central Office is like one of my favorite cards, but the Machine Base, I think, for a deck full of draw card effects, is like really good. Because if you can just slim it down, we'll be able to draw our entire deck like very reliably.
Okay.
So again, you can already see the simple cards here are producing a lot of interesting nuance, and almost every card is interesting to us right now.
Yep. So. Got some Vipers messing us up. But, that's okay. We got a battle base up, but we've only got 3 gold. We can buy an Explorer or a battle base. I think we just take an Explorer here because we just want more money.
We just want money, clearly. Yeah. Because that's the problem of diversifying between money and attack in these style games usually, is that if you just buy money and money and money, you eventually just win. Whereas what's nice about this game, though, is that unlike a game like Ascension, where you can just buy money and then you can buy cards that are worth points and give you money, this one you eventually have to buy attack. So a lot of people just buy money, 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 expect the game to just help them win on their own. But no, eventually you have to transition that into attacking. And so when you make that transition from attack into money or from money into attack is very key. And again, you can see how annoying these Vipers are. Just to draw these completely useless cards that just deal like 2 damage. So which is also cool because if they just gave you scouts originally, instead of the Vipers. First, there'd be a little bit less damage flying around, but also other games that don't work this exact way do this as well. They give you some cards that are just worse than the other cards in your deck, because that way, if you want to banish a card, you're trying to banish banish means get rid of it entirely forever. You want to banish the Vipers first, which is really nice because it gives you a short-term goal. Get rid of my Vipers.
So are we taking Recycling Station here?
We probably are because it's the right color. But first play the card that draws you a card, right?
I did.
Okay, sorry, I'm still again a little bit behind.
That's okay. Yeah, let's take Recycling Station and Dreadnought. Oh, can't quite afford that yet. But
Nope.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll take it over.
Recycling Station's great. Like, it's exactly what we want. It'll make sure that it's always triggering our gold cards so that as long as it's out, a bit of extra defense. But please note that our opponent has a bunch of spaces out there.
Yeah, they've got a lot of space stations. Oof, jeez. And they're kind of comboing off. They just bought Blob World. Damn it, they bought
That is potentially a problem.
Uh-oh, we could lose here.
We really could. Like, going more aggressive is it's a simpler game plan, but it's a harder game plan to win by playing mediocrely.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy for them to shut you down with just some outposts.
Yeah. Where are we? Excellent. Oh, and we drew the... Haha, perfect. So we've got 13 attack here, so that should be good at getting through some of their things.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Only 5
Which is also great because, again, one of the nice thing is whenever you blast through one of their stations, they actually have to draw it again in order to play it. So it slows you down repeatedly, but it also messes with them a huge amount.
I misplayed this. I played the Machine Blaze before I put the Scout, as in the Scout. I played the Scout first, so now we don't have any cards that we can... oh no! Hey, we drew a Scout, and we can scrap the Scout from our
Perfect.
deck perfectly. Scrap Scouts.
Yep.
Bye Scouts. Okay, so let's. Well, no.
All right.
You need to know what to deal damage to, and what to buy. So we're probably taking like the Trade Escort just because it's a bunch of damage and heal. Because there's not really any other good options that we can buy.
Yeah, the Patrol Mech is tempting because it's so flexible. Like, it either gives you 3 gold or it gives you, 5 attack. But so it's actually, like, that's really good because you can, like, it gives you gold, and then you just attack for the win.
Yep.
But the problem is that we don't have any red. And we don't need it. It's just good. But it is diluting ourselves, whereas the Trade Escort could theoretically combo with our other blue card, and it is attack and life.
Yep.
Like, also, by the way, you could get rid of these Explorers right now to deal even more damage if you wanted. But I think that you should probably take the Trade Escort.
Yep.
It's hard. Like, we are definitely shying away from money, and we're not dying right now. So actually, he's likely to get so much more economy than us, then we probably can't win on just attack alone right now. So I think we actually need to go for money. I think we need to go for money.
Okay, well,
I
took the wrong one.
Okay, I'm still behind. Dang it.
Okay, so we'll just kill it.
Elements of depth in this game is based around not just which card do I want for my deck, but look at what my opponent has. What's the game flow? Where do we need to transition into? Do I need to be more aggressive right now or more defensive right now? Not just, am I playing a Goblin deck? This is a Goblin card. But rather, what type of effect do I need in the game at this moment? And that is what allows the game to be so compelling and deep and interesting, because your desires and your needs shift based on what your opponent is doing.
Aha,
all right.
We can scrap some of these Vipers.
Sweet.
Bye-bye, Viper. And play everything else. Not that it was a great hand. So we could take Ram, which deals 5 damage and plus extra. So that goes into our damage plan.
It does.
Or we take the Patrol Mech and plus an Explorer.
Well, Patrol Mech plus whatever's under there potentially.
Yes, yes.
I would probably want to be taking more money cards right now. Patrol Mech actually does go into your secondary plan. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I mean, look how much defense he has. He's got nothing but defense.
Yep.
Uh, so I think we really need to gain enough money to break over his defenses. So I would probably take the Patrol Mech here, though the Ram is really tempting, I have to admit.
Yep.
Like, it's so much damage, and you can also trash it for more gold.
Mm.
So like you can play it and then you can scrap it later on, and to get its attack boost and then immediately get the refund. So it's like you're banking 3 gold now and you're going to get the 3 gold later. This is tricky. I think the Patrol Mech is better, but the Ram actually synergizes with our deck more, and I think we actually might.
I'm taking the Ram.
Okay.
And okay, so we take an Explorer here, sure. And we can't break through, unfortunately. Yeah, he does have just a bunch of cards. Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
so the
not
way
the
you
best
can
turn
beat
for
a
us.
bunch of battle stations is to say, I'm not going to attack right now, and I'm just going to go for money, because that's really messes with him, and that those things are expensive and they don't provide a huge amount of gain. The trading post, unfortunately, is really good.
Yeah.
Like the battle station doesn't do anything. It's just that when it's out, you can trash it to deal 5 damage to your opponent. But the trading post is really not very good.
Well, we all
in
have
that,
to kill that.
well, it's not good for us. I meant
Yes.
it's very good for him. The ability to always just gain 1 extra gold is just so big. Like we could have bought the Dreadnought this turn if we'd had. Like if we had 1 more gold, we would have bought the Dreadnought, which is like the most amazing card for us right now.
Yes. What's this? Space station. Oh, this is right. This is okay. Deals 2 attack like by default, and we can trash it for money. It's like we're gonna take the Patrol Mech over the space station.
Probably,
right?
yeah. I think we really need as much money as possible.
Yep. And we will destroy their trading post. Bye bye. Excellent. So I found it really interesting how we both have more health than the starting health values, right?
Yeah, that's unusual. Usually,
Okay.
like that can happen, but the opponent seems to be going really defensive here.
Yeah, he's taking like
putting-
every station. He has 4 stations out. Is that 5th
The
station?
funny thing about this is that I think that's part of the medium AI. I'm guessing, in that that the new players probably more likely want to focus on money.
Yep.
And that it's just going to put no pressure on you. Like he's putting no pressure on us whatsoever.
No.
Like, just that they're not going to put any pressure on us. They're going to let us goof around, try stuff out, but it's medium, so they're going to do a kind of a good job. But the game's going to go on forever, and we're just going to get a million stuff. In hard mode, there's a lot more savagery going on. Like you can have these games, but he's clearly investing so much into these long-term health defenses. So normally you're poking at each other, you're poking, numbers are changing, and then like the numbers get bigger and bigger, and someone takes like 20 damage and dies. And almost always, huge number of games comes down to the very last turn, like because if your opponent's going to kill you with all their extra amount of damage, normally you would have killed them with even more damage. So like very often it's like, oh, just 1 or 2 more turns and I would have won. And so that's really clever about how the core game works.
Trade pod? Battle pod? Trade pod or battle? Oh, both. Okay. What's this? War World. Okay, that's just now posted. Sure. I was like, oh my god, it's called War World. That sounds awesome, but no.
So the trade pod is one of those green cards I mentioned that is just good no matter what. It's good in the long term deck because it gives you just 3 money and you don't even need to care about the attack. It's just 3 money for 2 gold. That's just huge. So you really, really want that. War World, by the way, is actually really good.
Okay.
It's just if you get that yellow trigger, it deals 7 damage every turn.
Yeah, our opponent is dealing a lot of damage to us every turn now.
Yeah, there's just a lot of space. Yeah, because of that.
Blob World, jeez.
And Royal Redoubt. Yeah, we're probably gonna lose this. Wow.
Oh no! Monies. Yeah, we're doing like terribly here.
We're so bad.
I blame Dan.
You could. I mean, like, I'm the one who was walking you through this. But like, look how much money he's got. It's like 10, 8, 16 attack.
Yep.
Oh, God, we're so dead. He's at 73 life. Oh, my God. So basically what happened was there was a mid-game point where he was basically investing a lot of stuff for future economy, for future value, basically. And the problem with that for us is that, I mean, we could have scaled up even faster than that, or we could have gone full attack. But the problem is, like, he was throwing enough defenses out to stop an initial attack, so he basically had to ignore the stuff that was doing defenses and go full economy to beat him. And now we're being punished for that.
Yep, punished hard. Outposts. So many outposts to choose from.
So again, one of the things was that we took a bunch of cards early that were based around drawing extra cards rather than giving us extra money. And drawing cards is not good in the... He's making us discard cards every turn now.
Yeah, I know.
Basically, drawing cards is not that good in the early game. It's sort of better as sort of an extra boost in the late game because it just gets you more bad cards. So our early plays were about attack and drawing cards. But the problem is we didn't get enough good stuff to follow it up with.
Yep.
And like if we'd gotten, for example, more of those trade pods to help our green plan, that would have been amazing. Because we would have gotten, trade pods. And so, by the way, the silver health totals mean you don't have to attack them. The black ones like this one have taunt.
Okay, I was trying to figure that out. Yep.
So like you have to attack one of these before you can do anything else. And the silver ones, you can choose to attack them if there's no taunt thing up.
Anyway, so I'm pretty sure we're just dead, so...
Oh, we're so dead. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. So let's... I'll just quickly run through the turns as we die. Okay. And was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we finish up?
Basically, I just like talking about how well done this game is. How much depth
we're taking 33 this turn. Okay.
And we're dead.
Sure.
And the way all the factions are very well designed. The green ones are very aggressively oriented, but there's even some money in them because you need that to make the deck work. The blue one is much more economy and life focused. The red one is very flexible and also allows you to scrap a lot of your own cards. And the yellow one is much more about card draw and hand disruption. So it allows you to cycle through very effectively, which makes all the factions feel a little different, but all work together, but still with that extra synergy thing. Like if you got rid of that synergy mechanic, if you have another card of this out, then it's proccing. Everybody would just want all the same cards. It would not matter. So the synergy forces you to care about factions enough, but not so much that you have to only care about them. You can afford to, if you have all your deck of red, all the red things will be triggering, but you could afford to have 3/5 of your deck red, and the red things will still be triggering, and maybe better cards overall.
Yeah, the threshold one is pretty. Threshold one feels a lot more like a cost than it is, right? As in, it's like you can get away with having only like 3, 4, 5 of these yellow cards or whatever, and depending on the size of your deck, and you can still get the yellow threshold. When it's not kind of like a linear thing where you're just wanting every single card to be yellow. You don't get actively punished for taking non-yellow cards.
Yeah, and look at how that game just ramps up. Like our opponent killed us with like 23 gold, 33 attack, and 91 life. So when I say normally, like every time you're like one turn away, often, not this one.
We're just not good enough. So, get good, guys.
But I used to be so good at this game, but it's also just so dramatic in terms of how big things get. And the thing is, the game often ends before you feel like you want to have all this extra money, you want to keep using it. So the game ends and you kind of want to do it again. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the overall game's design, the flow, the mechanics? Tell me what you got.
Okay, so yeah, the way that the choice that it keeps complexity down is like really nice, by only offering small amounts of changes. You saw there, like I haven't played the game in 6 months, and I picked it up like pretty damn quick. It was intuitive. It felt exciting how it ramped up. It was immediately obvious that like okay, well, I want to be faction based, but we were happy just taking good cards. They've got and like none of the cards were insanely complex, but they all were ended up being pretty exciting
And interesting.
interesting together. Yeah, exactly. As in
Like the battering ram, like that card is so interesting in that it allows you can scrap it forever to get 3 extra gold. It costs 3 gold, so it'll let you effectively bank that gold.
Yeah, exactly, and that can help you
hold-
get. We could have gotten, say, like our dreadnoughts or like Blob World or some ridiculously expensive, insane card for that. And that's really good. So
Right.
helps.
And yeah, absolutely. Now, I think that one of the best things is how they narrow the complexity. Is that because of the factions, usually the ideal small choice for players to feel like that there's an interesting choice is 3. Like 2 can feel very binary. Like you don't like one. If you think one choice is bad, the other choice becomes the default, which is less compelling.
Yep.
Yes. So the 3 choices is sort of like the best small choice you can give somebody while still minimally feeling like it's an interesting choice with a lot of different options. Otherwise, 2 feels like just too narrow very often to feel like there's lots of different options. So they give us 6 cards, right? But because of the way the faction system works, only about half of them interest us. And so that cuts you down to 3. But also, when you are caring about factions as a new player, you latch onto that. You're like, okay, I want
It's a
more
guide
of
stone,
this.
yeah. Signposting.
Exactly.
It really
Signposting
helps. Helps us make us ignore complexity that we might. Like, I didn't even read a lot of the cards. Like I just had to read the ones that I knew were for our faction, and
and also the costs of the cards. Like when you throw an 8-cost card out there, that people can just sort of ignore it for several turns. You just play your stuff, you look at how much gold you have, then you look, what can I buy? And immediately you ignore stuff that's too expensive and you focus on stuff that you can afford. And often it's like, I have 4 gold. Well, I can buy that 3, but this 4 is like clearly better. So you just make that decision because otherwise you're going to waste your gold. So it's just awesome how smooth it is, how deep it is, how well it flows. I love this game. I'm so impressed with its design.
yep. We've been chatting about it for quite a while now, so it's been good.
All right. Well, this was Intelligent Design. Feel free to check out our podcast together at Remaking Magic. You can find it on iTunes and all sorts of stuff. It's also at remakingmagic.libsyn.com, and you can find everything that I'm a part of, including that, at danfelder.net. This was fun, Reuben. We should do it again sometime.
Definitely. Well, I think we plan to, so it'll be good.
We do. We plan to do Halo at some point.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to that. Okay.
We do. All right. Well, thanks very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.